We've set Birmingham's Castlevale School and Performing Arts College a challenge to turn itself as green as possible in just one term. We brought in an energy expert to help them change their culture and target huge annual savings.
You're looking at savings of £10,000 a year.
But getting staff to engage wasn't easy.
Unfortunately, there are a handful who really don't see the environment as an issue.
In previous programmes, we've seen Castlevale implement simple, zero-cost energy-saving measures, paper recycling and a switch-off policy that led to measurable cuts in consumption.
The bottom line is, we've made savings of 5% year on year. That's equal to nearly £2,500 a year.
Not a bad start, but with the Christmas break looming, has Castlevale done enough to ensure a greener future for themselves?
We're going green!
These lights are on. We'll have to turn them off.
Yep. Honestly, Nickel. What? The lights are on in your room, so we've turned them off for you.
Naming and shaming teachers is just one strategy that Castlevale School's Green Team have adopted to help cut energy bills. But it's working. Just a month after an energy survey pointed out just how much money the school was wasting, Castlevale is hitting its short-term goals to change its culture and save money.
In the mornings, I would come in and turn all my lights on. Yep. Now I just turn just the one strip of lights on and I can work by that light until all the kids come in the morning.
That is excellent, because if the teachers lead by example and set the standard for the pupils to follow, that's brilliant.
In this programme, you'll see the school working hard to keep the momentum going. Students get involved reducing their carbon footprint by planting trees.
Some of them think that they're planting trees so they can get out of lessons.
Environmental issues begin to be reflected across the curriculum.
Electricity becomes so expensive that people can't afford to use it.
Yeah, it's true. Think green.
Go green!
And Green champion NQT Jordan Kelly visits a primary school with a wind turbine.
I was told that they were as noisy as a car driving along the motorway.
No.
And they're not at all, are they?
It's not at all.
You can't hear it.
No.
But will Castlevale be able to keep up the pace of change in the long term? When our energy champion, Ken Heaton, dropped into his office a month ago,
Mr. Bennett.
Deputy Head Richard Bennett was collared for wasting a lot of energy.
Lights on, spotlight on, PC in standby mode. Mr. Bennett is in trouble.
But it seems he's learnt his lesson.
Hard lesson learned from the work that you've been doing with the school, actually, which has made a big difference to me in terms of my working habits, because as you'll probably recall, this was not a shining example of what we should be doing. And so after a lot of thought and discussion with some of the youngsters, we made some promises to improve, and one of the things that you clearly already gathered is that we're now using much more natural light in this room and working here where the natural light can aid me in what I need to do.
It's not just changing habits that have brought success at Castlevale. Technology is being used to save energy too. The IT team set all the school's PCs to hibernate.
Basically, when you hibernate your computer, it pauses everything you're doing on the screen and allows the computer to completely turn off. So then you can leave it for a day or a week or however long you want to, come back, turn the computer back on and resume from where you were. So for instance, say with the BGFL websites, we're looking at that, but then say we need to turn the computer off. We'll now just do shutdown, select hibernate from the list and click OK. And the computer will prepare to go into hibernation. Like that. Yeah, so now the computer is off. Notice how I can completely remove the power supply and that's off. So then we put this back in, hit the power button. Now what you'll notice is it'll turn on exactly the same way as it does normally, but this time it'll be increasingly faster. See, it's ready to go. And you're back where you were before. The computers will hibernate after the end of a lesson, so after a period of an hour, once they haven't been used, they'll go off into hibernation mode.
Paper recycling's really taking off since green bins have been supplied to every classroom. The dining hall has now got new bins to encourage pupils to sort out their food waste. And the D&T department are doing their bit too, using reclaimed wood.
One of the teachers lives close to an industrial estate where there's a kitchen manufacturer, and we went up there with my car and the trailer, and we've rescued probably £500–600 worth of oak. So the students are still dealing with good quality material, but it's not brand new off the shelf, it's offcuts from industry. And there should be more of that. I mean, the industry chucks out so much stuff, it's unbelievable.
Using thermostatic radiator valves to control the central heating was one of the key suggestions in the energy survey carried out by Ken Heaton. But ancient pipework means site manager Martin Field has to compromise.
This is a typical installation in the school. As you can see, we've got very old, large pipework, old, useless valves in many cases, and also that right hard up underneath the shelving that's above, or they're fully enclosed in. So the TRVs, we've decided, aren't going to be the way we're going to go. But just so that we can get some form of control in, we're going to have ordinary on-off valves fitted on all the radiators.
Another of the suggestions in the survey is feasible though. Low-cost reflectors will cut down heat loss through the walls.
As far as the radiator panels are concerned, it's much better news. We've actually managed to get hold of a sample, and this is great. All it has to do is just slide down the back of the radiator like that, fixed in place with some double-sided tape, and bingo, and that's it. And it's unbelievable because it's 10 quid or thereabouts, supplied and fitted. Cheap as chips.
NQT Jordan Kelly leads the Castle Vale Green team. He wants students to broaden their approach to sustainability beyond the school community. He arranges a tree planting project in collaboration with the Castle Vale Community Environment Trust.
Well, they're not big. Some of them think that they're planting trees so they can get out of lessons, but in reality we're just trying to reduce the overall carbon footprint that the school is leaving.
We're going to be planting all along this fence, okay? We're going to try to keep safe walking distance because there's quite a few of us, okay? Yeah.
They plant up a patch of reclaimed industrial land on the edge of the Castle Vale housing estate using 8 native tree species.
What do trees
Let off oxygen.
let off oxygen, right? What do they take in from the atmosphere?
Carbon dioxide.
They do, and that's really important, isn't it? Why?
Because that means there'll be not as much gases.
In the atmosphere, okay? That you don't deserve your Christmas presents.
This was all once part of a wildlife walkway over here, and within a few weeks of it being built and put up, some kids came over and set fire to it and destroyed it all. We'd like to try and get that sort of up and running again and working again. Nice well down into it. Put it slightly to the one side again.
What produces carbon dioxide into the atmosphere? Cars, okay? Planes, petrol, factories. Our electricity comes from power stations, which release carbon dioxide. Our heating comes from power stations, which release carbon dioxide. All of the stuff that we're doing at school, just through our everyday lives, is helping release a load of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So by planting these trees, we're just helping to reduce the climate change problem, because it is a big problem at the moment.
Jordan's researching renewable energy. A wind turbine on the roof could save money and provide Castle Vale with a prominent symbol of their green intentions.
We've kind of got our short-term stuff done, and we're trying to think of something big that's going to excite people now that the interest of turning lights off is dropping slightly. And we're looking at possibilities of investing money in something like a wind turbine, and it should have a very visual impact when the kids are arriving to school. Hopefully they'll see it from quite a way down the road, and it will just show them that we are really willing to make a proper go of this going green. You can spend quite a bit of money on them. They range from about £1,000, £1,500, but you can go all the way up to, it says here, £18,000 for a 6 kilowatt one, but that is a big one. That's about the same size as a telegraph pole. So obviously I'd have to speak to Clive about getting some money, but but I think he's fairly keen.
Jordan can fit most of his Going Green work into his timetable, but off-site visits need the head's agreement because cover's required.
I've found out about a primary school that I'd like to visit. They've got a wind turbine, and the kids are really, really involved in the green issues and stuff. And I think it'd be quite nice to see how the primary schools approach it, so that we can maybe look at the way we approach it for our Year 7s, make sure that we're sort of following on from the same sort of level.
I guess it's another day of cover, Jordan, you know, and it's going to cost us, but I think it's a really valuable thing to do. It'd be a really exciting thing, I think, to get a wind turbine on site if we could.
Yeah.
No, I'd be very happy for you to go, and if you report back on that and let us know how they're doing the wind turbine, whether they had to get planning permission, whether it was straightforward to get it on, and find out what they're powering. Because I don't know whether they power specific appliances or whether it logs into the whole network of electricity. I've really no idea on this, so I'll be really grateful to hear your ideas of what they're doing.
I'll write a report up and file it.
That'd be great. Perhaps one day you could do some teaching as well, Jordan, and stay in school for a day. But there we are.
With its huge coal-fired power station at Didcot, Oxfordshire's not a beacon for sustainable energy production. But search hard and you'll find that wind power has played its part here for quite a while. Berrinsfield Community Primary School have recently installed a 6-kilowatt wind turbine. Costing £20,000, it was financed by the County Council and a DTI grant. It supplies green energy and cuts their annual electricity bill by £1,200. Jordan takes school governor Barry Williams with him. He'll need his support for Castle Vale's turbine.
The council approached me and said, would I like a wind turbine? And I said, I'd love a wind turbine.
When I initially inquired about getting a wind turbine at Castle Vale, I was told that the noise would be a factor and that they were as noisy as a car driving along the motorway.
No.
And they're not at all,
Not
are
at
they?
all.
It's
Not at all.
You can't hear it.
No.
No.
Well, I was a little bit concerned about health and safety, because the ones I've seen are sort of perched on a little bit of a broomstick, and you imagine the wind coming along and bending. That's not moving at all. The only thing that's moving are the actual fan itself, you know.
But if you saw what it was embedded in, it's just a huge block of concrete. Came and they dug out, I mean, massive hole, which is why it had to be done in the summer holidays, really, to make sure that none of the kids could get anywhere near it. But it has to be movable because it has to be winched down once a year. Just check it's okay.
Do you have to pay for that maintenance of the winch?
You do, but it isn't very expensive. It was only a couple of £100.
Right.
My benefit is the benefit of having this at my school for the educational part for the children, and £1,200 a year I will save on electricity bills for my junior building.
But the educational part far outweighs the financial side, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, yes.
And it's lovely to look at.
Great.
Berrinsfield have used the turbine to put sustainability issues into learning, from foundation stage up to Year 6. Castle Vale's feeder schools don't have such a curriculum yet.
They all know about, the recycling bins everywhere. They know about turning the light switches off. They know, and I've heard the children say, maybe, Mrs. Sides, you've opened that window and the heating's on. They know all about that sort of thing in school.
So they're going to take those ideas into their secondary school.
And hopefully take them into their homes.
One of the things that I'm hoping for the future is that on Castle Vale, our feeder schools are going to be working to go green, and therefore our new intake of Year 7s, we won't have to teach them. They'll be teaching us the newer stuff, really, because it's been a struggle, particularly with our older kids.
If we can get the primary schools and the secondary schools working together, the community will warm to that. Speaking with the governor's hat on, my immediate reaction would be yes, yes and yes, because everybody's a winner here.
When we were discussing this before, we were looking at it simply and solely from an energy saving point of view. And when you look at it that way, it's a long-term payback.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it almost doesn't seem worth it. But when you take into account the massive educational plus that you're going to get, and bringing in the community and the primary schools, it really is worth it, isn't it?
It's fantastic.
It's the last day of the Christmas term, and Ken Heaton sneaks back early to have a scout round and see how Castle Vale have been doing in the 3 weeks since his last visit.
I got here just before 7:30. only a handful of people in the school, which gave me an ideal opportunity to run around with my digital camera and take some action shots of what's happening, because what's important in a school is not only what happens during the day, but more importantly, what happens when there's hardly anybody here.
Ken wanted to speak to teachers to find out what impact the Green Team's efforts were having on staff.
Have you noticed any changes regarding energy usage at all?
Yes, definitely.
You have?
Yeah, they keep on touching my monitor off. They'll walk in, just turn it off.
That's off.
We've got stickered.
Yes.
After your last
It all
visit,
helps, it all helps.
The Green Team that are working with Mr Kelly attacked the school. Everywhere you look, there were stickers reminding you to turn everything off, turn your lights off, things like that. And they do their patrol after school. They come and shout at me if I've left all my lights on and things like that. I've got the lights off my monitor to keep me...
A shining example!
So yeah, I've started to turn just the one strip of lights on in the morning, and I can work by that light until all the kids come in the morning.
That is excellent, because if the teachers lead by example and set the standard for the pupils to follow, that's brilliant.
He's noticed some posters, and though well-intentioned, he thinks they need to be more effective.
When I first saw this, I thought, great, you've actually made an effort. The trouble is, it's wrong. Energy awareness information has to be very to the point and very small. And on this one, we've got 4 or 5 different messages. And what I would like to see is just the top message: switch off your monitors. That is it. And you have that displayed for 6 weeks. And the reason why you have it for 6 weeks, you change it, because after 6 weeks it becomes wallpaper. No one sees the message anymore, and then you put the next message up and another. Right. So that will last you a long time. So it's about small, one-liner, small messages, lots of fun cartoons, right location. So yes, 10 out of 10 for effort, but we can do better.
Outside, Jordan was spotted behaving very strangely.
Jordan, what are you doing? It must look a bit weird, but I'm just trying to measure, well, estimate the perimeter of the school fencing, because this bit doesn't look too bad. There's a few plants here, but around the side it's pretty barren, and you've just got the green metal fences. We're trying to get some funding to get some hedging put in, which will just make everything look a bit nicer, sort of reduce the carbon footprint of the school, and give us something to work with during the summer term for our ecology-based.
So why the funny walk?
Just trying to measure how many metres of hedging I need to purchase.
Ken meets up with site manager Martin Field to find out what capital spending decisions have been decided on.
What about my recommendation for insulating pipework now? What's your feeling on that?
I mean, to save £2 a year, it's going to cost us £4 to do.
Okay, fine.
It's down the list.
Flange and valve jackets, was there some concern there?
Right, yeah. We can envisage any of the boiler maintenance guys that we have coming in are going to tear their hairs out of.
Yeah.
You know, having to undo tape and
they probably will.
And everything.
Well, they don't have to undo ties. I can see where some of the old type flanging jackets were like tiny shoelace, but they're not now. You get a Velcro jackets, you wrap them on, stick them on, and rip them off, and they're really, really good. And
that puts it in a different light.
It's now part of building regulations for new build as well. I know
that definitely puts you in a different light.
Having collected data from both the school and its electricity supplier, Ken's in a position to reveal to the Green Team whether Castle Vale's electricity use has dropped. Has all the hard work paid off?
What we've got is electricity usage plotted every half hour from midnight to midnight. And this is for, obviously, November last year. And basically, the bottom line is we've made savings of 5% year on year. And just to give you an indication, this is midnight to around about 6:30 in the morning. Yeah, and watch what happens this year. Basically, it compresses more. That means less equipment has been left on overnight, which is an excellent performance. And look at the general profile. There's less equipment on during the day, and it's being turned off a lot earlier. Just to give you an indication of what that saving is equal to, that's equal to nearly £2,500 a year. This is a real good start. This is a good base to build for the rest of the year, and we can continue monitoring this throughout the year and drive it down.
Ken confesses to sneaking some photographs first thing today.
I walked into some classrooms this morning and there were just the teachers in the classroom, and there might have been just one teacher sat at the desk, and they just had one light on, and not all the lights on. And I walked into 2 or 3 classrooms like that. Lights were off, monitors were off, base units were off. That was really, really good. You've proven that you can change the culture, and some teachers can adapt to that change and implement the energy saving. Christmas shutdown, teachers need to have a blitz and ensure that every classroom has a complete shutdown. Because when we do this analysis in December, I want to see a fantastic drop down here.
The question I'd have, Ken, is that we're clearly making a difference, but we're still using 20 or thereabouts. So where's that 20 going? Because it seems like an awful lot to be using overnight when nobody's in the building.
Some security lights will be left on all night. I don't know whether closed-circuit television's left on all night. We know some PCs are left on all night. Let's check the photocopiers. Printers is another one. Catering equipment, how much refrigeration we've got in the catering side.
Seems a very high percentage of what might be a good figure to aim at.
That's right, yeah.
For our overnight use.
Yeah, typically I would expect 10. So
Jordan's arranged for a turbine manufacturer to brief the team about the value of using a small wind turbine as an educational tool.
This type of generator purely and simply charges a battery or a bank of batteries at either 12 or 24 volts. As the wind rotates the blades, it produces a current. Once the wind speed picks up, then obviously the voltage picks up and the output goes up with it.
For one that would generate 230 volts, how much bigger than this would it be?
Just over 2 meters diameter. And I think from the data it weighs 56 kilos.
Quite heavy.
Which is very heavy.
Very heavy.
Clearly, we're not going to knock a big hole in our electricity use by putting up a wind turbine, but I think there's a whole range of curriculum opportunities we can get off it. Maybe consider a weather station in geography or those kind of things as well.
But yeah, from an educational point of view, quite rightly, you can buy small wind turbines that people in caravanning use, and you can site them, you can data log it, you can turn that into quite an educational project.
Clive Owen does intend to buy a wind turbine for the Castle Vale site at some point, but he's bought into Ken's mantra and decides to keep focusing on the quick wins for now. Late afternoon on the last day of term, and the Year 9 Performance Assembly has a green theme. Sustainability issues have been brought into the music and drama curriculum.
Electricity becomes so expensive that people can't afford to use it.
Yeah, it's true.
Paper's so rare that we have to pay a lot of money for magazines.
Hang on, I don't want my future to turn out like this.
Think green.
Go green!
Is that Ken Heaton?
I've got you a small gift, Clive, because you've been such a good boy this year.
Thank you. Goes without saying.
It's a solar panel charger for mobile phones.
Fantastic.
On the way. Merry Christmas!
It's been a hard slog to engage pupils and a very busy staff, but Castle Vale has made decent progress towards a greener school in just 12 weeks. With expert help, they've carried out an energy audit to assess their failings.
I don't think we're anywhere near to where we can be yet. But Ken's involvement has been fantastic. He's been able to give us some graphs, give us some numbers and really challenge us in terms of what we should be doing.
They've organised a green team to plan and police change.
We have done a lot in a very short space of time, and it has been tough at times.
They've carried out zero-cost actions, which are saving cash that can be spent elsewhere.
We can have short-term goals that we can aim for and complete, but everything we do, there's always going to be loads more to do.
And they've started changing their behaviour and have marshalled people genuinely committed to going green.
And Jordan's a great, lively, enthusiastic colleague, and I think his credibility with the students and with the staff has been heightened. So yeah, it's absolutely paid off for Jordan and for the school in that sense, and I think he'll forge forward very quickly from where he is now.
To be honest with you, it's going to be really nice to have 2 weeks where I can only worry about turning my own light off and my own heating down rather than the whole school.
For Jordan and his young colleagues, it's time for a well-earned Christmas drink and to look back on the journey towards a sustainable school.
People didn't really understand what the point was at the start. People thought that my role was to actually go to their room, collect their paper and recycle it for them. My email box was full of people saying, I've got loads of paper, are you going to come and collect it?
Are you aware how hated you were the morning after that first meeting when they went around and switched off everyone's computers and everyone lost saved work? And, was it
I told them to turn the lights off, not just go around turning people's computers off when they were in the middle of planning lessons.
Is it true though, Jordan? I've heard that you've actually asked for a photograph of yourself to be put next to our head teachers in the in the lobby. Green hero written underneath.
The wind turbine being named after you as well. Or something.
So how many lessons did you teach? 2, I think.
The amount of times I've covered him.
I've got to admit, when you said that you'd volunteered, I was like, are you mad? I don't know, I picked up straight away. It was, I mean, your first year of teaching is an absolute nightmare year as it is. But one thing I have noticed is it's established you as a new teacher to the school so quickly. Every kid knows who you are straight away.
So what did they think of their green guru?
I really liked his message. You know, Clive wanted to buy a wind turbine and thought that was it. Ken straight away came and said, no, do the boring stuff first. And that was ace, because it sort of made us think about things that could make a real difference. It's just his enthusiasm was sometimes a bit much at 4:30 on an afternoon.
I've got the light off my monitor to keep me...
A shining example!
And perhaps some of Ken has rubbed off onto Jordan.
The stuff that we've tried to implement this term is down to all the teachers to do, really. You look after your own room, switch your lights off, make sure you haven't got the heating on and the windows open, and recycle your paper.
Maybe Ken Heaton's left a little bit of himself with all of us.